The night was quiet. Too quiet. Only the sound of wind brushing against stone walls could be heard. In medieval Europe, silence was never peaceful. Silence meant fear. It meant someone was watching. It meant someone was about to disappear. In those times, life was fragile. A single word, a single accusation, could decide whether you lived or vanished forever. There were no cameras, no records, no voices that mattered, especially if you were a woman. She was young, barely known beyond her village. Not powerful, not rich, just different enough to be noticed. Different enough to be dangerous. In medieval society, obedience was survival. A woman was expected to obey her father, then her husband, then the church. Her thoughts did not belong to her. Her body did not belong to her. Her silence was her duty. But she questioned something. Maybe she refused an order. Maybe she spoke when she shouldn't have. Maybe she loved the wrong person. Or maybe she was simply unlucky. No one remembers her real name. History rarely remembers women who had no power. They only remember what was done to them. The accusations spread quietly, not shouted, not announced. Whispers were enough. Whispers always were. Someone said she had brought shame. Someone said she disobeyed sacred rules. Someone said she was a threat to order. And in medieval Europe, order mattered more than truth. There was no trial, no chance to defend herself. The decision was already made before she even knew she was accused. Justice in those days did not ask questions. It demanded obedience. They came for her at night. Not soldiers, not executioners, just men who believed they were doing the right thing. Men who believed punishment was holy. She was taken to a place no one spoke about, deep beneath stone buildings, behind thick walls, where screams could not escape. This was not a place of death, not yet. This was worse. They called it immurement, a punishment so cruel, so silent, that history barely dares to record it. She was placed against a cold stone wall. Her hands shook. Her breath was heavy. She begged not for mercy, but for someone to listen. No one did. Brick by brick, the wall began to close. At first she screamed, then she cried, then she prayed, and finally, she went silent. Sometimes a small opening was left, just enough for air, sometimes for bread, sometimes for nothing at all. Some were meant to live like this, sealed away from the world as penance. Others were simply forgotten. Days passed, then weeks. The light disappeared. Hunger became pain. Pain became weakness. Weakness became darkness. Stone does not care who you were. Stone does not forgive. In villages near old monasteries and castles, people later spoke of strange sounds. Soft knocking, faint whispers, prayers in the night, sounds coming from walls that should have been solid. Some said it was imagination. Others said it was guilt, because deep down they knew. This was not justice. This was control. Medieval punishments were not about correcting behavior. They were about fear. Fear kept people obedient. Fear kept questions silent. Fear kept power where it belonged. Women suffered the most. A woman who spoke too much was dangerous. A woman who knew too much was dangerous. A woman who refused to obey was dangerous. And danger had to be buried. Literally. Church records rarely mention immurement directly. Names are missing. Details are vague. But the architecture remains. Sealed chambers, walled-up spaces behind altars, unexplainable rooms with no doors. Historians whisper about them carefully, because even centuries later, questioning religious authority feels uncomfortable. But truth does not disappear just because it is buried. The girl in the wall did not die quickly. That is what makes this punishment unforgettable. Execution ends suffering. Immurement stretches it, hour by hour, breath by breath. And when death finally came, it came quietly. No grave, no marker, no mourning, just stone. Even today, when restorations uncover sealed chambers, workers describe a strange feeling, a heaviness, a silence that feels wrong. Some refuse to continue. Some say they hear something. Maybe it's imagination. Or maybe some walls remember. This is why medieval horror is different. It isn't about monsters. It isn't about ghosts. It's about humans. Humans who believed cruelty was righteousness. Humans who believed silence was holiness. Humans who believed obedience mattered more than life. The girl buried alive had no voice then, but her story survives. In the cold walls of history, in the fear that still echoes, in the question we still cannot escape. Was this punishment justice, or was it cruelty hidden behind faith? Because when fear becomes law, innocence never survives. And some walls were built to hide sins that should never be forgotten. If this story stayed with you, if it made you uncomfortable,